Hello RPFers and replica prop fans. Scott JOA from the RPF here, FX Sabers and other sites. Just wanted to talk about my blaster collection and builds coming up, more or less just for fun. So here's my current collection of personal blasters. On top you'll see my Han Solo New Hope Hero, then the Greedo Killer, and then my Luke ESB that I just finished. Let's talk about from top to bottom. I'm just going to set this here. Okay. So, to start off, we have my Han blaster. If you've seen my YouTube channel, you've seen some of my videos of it already. This is the one that has sound. This is the one that is made from parts from the first run on the RPF by Dark Energy Creations. Who's did an amazing job at the accurate run of parts for this blaster. So I have a steel flash hider, aluminum bull barrel, aluminum scope bracket, aluminum mount, steel top bars, or top mounts, and right now I have just a resin Corellian Exports grill on it because I'm waiting for run 2 parts, which will give me my steel bull barrel and the correct grill. In that case, this will just go away and I'll probably just try and sell it on the RPF or something. And this will be used, this aluminum bull barrel will be used for a Mersan Power 5. So that's, oh, and also my real Hensoldt scope. So this is it. We've seen it before in my videos. It still has the sound, still loud, still awesome. Just waiting for upgrade of a few parts. I have the seal key in it right now, and I don't have a little screwdriver with me to pop it out, so I'm not going to do that and waste time showing that again. I will show all that again when it's completely done and has the correct barrel on it and the correct grill, and I may even redo the mystery disc again. Not sure, but there it is. MGC based, close to accurate. I'd say, in this state it's not as close as it will be when it's done, but pretty good. Now my Hensoldt Westler scope, I want to talk about that just a little bit. This one is the correct Zeal Dial 3X with the correct knurling. Let's try to get that in focus. Come on now. Okay, there you go. It's got the correct knurling, but it doesn't have any of the numbers on the top. It has the correct screws, even has the correct little pin. All the text is correct on this side, as you can see there. But it's not on the right side of it. It does have a larger front ring, front lens ring. Other than that, it's dead on. It is what it should be. Now I have a second one that Marcus was kind enough to sell me. This one has the correct front ring. It has all the wording on the right side, but the scope knob, the windage knob, is a little bit different. The knurling is not the same. The knurling isn't correct. The screws stick up a lot more, and there's only one number that I can see left, and it looks like it was painted rather than engraved, and it's just the 8 is left. However, this does come off and will fit right there perfectly. However, mine, this one here, they're both mine, but this one, the set screw here, actually helps hold that in, where this one doesn't do anything. The set screw there is short enough to where, or stripped out enough to where it doesn't affect it. I could take the windage knob off of that and put it on here, the base and the windage knob and everything. I don't know how the crosshairs would come out. This one has, this one has 3 bars inside, and this one has 4 for the actual sight aperture. Anyway, the crosshairs are different. They're both the correct scope, but just technical difficulties. So as I've seen online and stuff, there's lots of different variations of the scope, but it's correct. Now this one, or that one, or vice versa, whatever way I choose to change parts and use them, is going to go on a live fire version of this. So run 2 will have parts from the second run, all steel kit, and I will be making a live fire C96 Han Solo blaster before taking to the range, and generally just because. Alright, so that's the hero. Let's move that out. Next is my Greedo killer. This is 99% accurate, screen accurate. When I say screen accurate, the only time you ever see this blaster is the close-up of Han pulling it out of his holster under the table where he's about to blow Greedo away. And you never see the flash hider. In fact, they took it off because I'm pretty sure it wouldn't fit into the holster. The scene cuts right before it actually gets that far out of the holster. However, using Corellian Export's kit for the crossbar, the discs, and the mount, what I did was I've made a few of these for other people. This is the third Greedo killer that I've done, complete Greedo killer, and I've also done 2 or 3 sets of parts for other people using my Corellian Exports as a template, where I just got raw material and laid everything down and cut it, and quite a pain. But what I did is Michael in the RPF goes by Lichtbringer. He suggested that the Corellian Exports discs were too fat. And so I took his advice, looking at as much reference as I could, and laid these down thinner to about 5.5 millimeters. So these are the Corellian Exports thinner, and the only thing I might want to still do is just countersink this one a little bit more, a little bit deeper, because the middle one has a little bit larger of a countersink on the screen in post-production pictures. The post-production pictures uses a different type of weaver rings. Well, one of them just kind of floats out in the middle of nowhere, touching nothing. But these are the screen ones, and that's what I went with. This is a real M9 flash hider from an M3 grease gun. This is a real compact 4x31 scope. Now, what I noticed was the Parts of Star Wars lists the correct scope is a 4x31, but I think Chris, or Lone Pigeon on the RPF, was stating that it's another variant of the compact super. It was 15 3/4 or 15 2/3, something like that. But it's another compact super, but it's the power is different. Okay, so I really suck, and I just bumped the camera again. So anyway, back to what I was saying. The correct compact super is pretty rare, even more rare than this 4x31, and it's a different power, and it comes with a small front lens element. Now this 4x31, and I've had another one that I sold, had a very large front bell, and what I did was chucked it up in the lathe and machined it down to get the correct size, and it's still it's a 100% correct part. Well, not 100% because it's changed, it's modified to look like this, but it is a compact super part. And I just laid it down, painted it. Marcus was kind enough to find a lens that would fit, and I had to lay out the inside of that to get that lens in there. And there we go. So now I have my 99% accurate Greedo killer. I'll take off 1% for that. And I think the correct knob has screws in a little bit different places, or a different type of screws. And I'm missing the M2 bolt that goes right here. I'm not going to bother with it. So I'll take 1% off for those little things. But there's my Greedo killer on an MGC, which is what the screen used prop was, an MGC. There it is. Hopefully I won't bump the camera again. Now I just finished this. This is my Luke ESB blaster. I really wanted to do a Luke. I have 2 Hans, so I didn't figure there was any point doing another Han. So I went with Luke. I found this is another MGC that I had. I got lucky to get all these MGCs. My first Greedo killer was a Denix, and it really bothered me for some reason. So MGC is the way to go if you can find them. So this one is the real Luke blaster was a live fire Mauser. Seeing that I'm only going to do one live fire blaster, and I have the parts for Hero, I'm going to do the Hero live fire. Maybe someday I'll do another Luke live fire, but that's not on the immediate scope. So anyway, Evolution Props made the flash hider. At first he only did Han Solo flash hiders, and so I emailed him and asked him. I ordered 2 of the Hans, and I said, well, can you do a Luke? And he said, do you have any photos? So I sent him all my reference, all my photos, everything I could find to show the Luke. Mainly the difference is that this part is rounded, and I have a Han here as I'm building for somebody else, and you'll see the difference. Let's see. Rounded versus a conical top. So he made the Luke for me, and he sells that now on eBay, which is awesome. Perfect. So I used a couple reference photos to try and get the spacing, where the flash hider is in relation to how far down the barrel it is. This is a Blastech scope mount. However, I had a Corellian Exports knurled knob, and this is what it was. This is on there for about a few days. The rake of the knurl is too severe. I just really didn't care for it, so I went ahead and machined this from scratch. I already put a post on RPF about it and everything, but I machined this from scratch, did the knurling. Now it looks as close to screen accurate or production photo accurate as I can make it based on the photos. Blastech, this is a pretty decent scope mount. I may get some raw stock and make a new one myself, as I don't care for the bent metal. I'd rather have it just an actual angle. But the Blastech hole was actually right about here, the mounting hole, and it's too high for me. When I was looking at all the reference photos, the bottom of the mount matches up right to about the bottom of this chamfer right here on the mag. So that's where I needed to put it. And as far as I can tell, the scope mount and the scope are about perfect as far as the reference photos show. When I match up all the angles and I look at it, it's just about perfect. So I'm happy with it. This is real M19 scope. I found that on eBay. Let's see if I can, where's the camera here? Let's see if I can get you guys to see through it. Almost, there we go. So there's a real M19 scope. It's got the reticles inside. Greeblies. I went ahead and bought a V8 Revell Visible V8 kit, but I bought one that is newer than they used for the props, and so I only have this part is correct. This is real Revell V8. This motor coil piece is a resin cast that I got from Corellian Exports because my V8 kit was too new to have that part. I initially glued this on the wrong side until I realized it, but it kind of works because the theory is that all of the Greeblies that were on Luke's blaster had fallen off, and so that just leaves a tiny bit of epoxy residue, tiny bit, in this light. In fact, let me darken it up a little bit. Get the exposure about normal. Okay, so it's not going to happen. There you go. With exposure normal, it's not as noticeable. But that's, so I got my Greeblies there. And this one, I have a couple dummy rounds. We'll chamber those and eject them. Now, of my 4 MGCs, only one came with dummy rounds. and only one of them has a hole where the firing pin would actually work to fire off the caps. And this is the one that came with the dummy rounds, but it doesn't have that hole. My Hero is the one that has the hole, which is kind of odd. So I have one more MGC. This is a Red 9 MGC. It doesn't make much of a difference. It's an earlier one with the Mauser stampings. So this one would have been really good for the Hero to be even more accurate, but I didn't have it at the time. So this one will be my Merson Power 5. Let me just focus there for you. So that's why I have this aluminum flash hider that I got from the first run of parts. That will be the Merson Power 5. That bull barrel will come off, and that will complete that, with all the other greeblies and things like that. That one's going to be a pain to find all the parts. So there's my 4 MGCs. And then finally, I am working on a Han Solo, a Denix-based Han Solo blaster for a commission. Someone from the FX Sabers website saw one of my builds and wanted me to do a Han Solo for him, so I have real Revell V8 pistons. Now, I have to figure out if we're going to be doing a Hoth or a Bespin. If we're doing a Bespin, then I'm pretty sure the pistons aren't going to be on there. These are not the correct, 100% correct greeblies. Carolina Exports is doing a little run of the correct ones, and I will probably, it's a budget build, so we'll probably still use this. Not quite sure. If it really bothers me, I'll just machine a new one. Unless we're doing the Hoth, and then that'll be a whole different ball game on the mount. So, but anyway, there's my blasters, my blaster collection, works in progress, futures. If I can find one more MGC, I may do a Return of the Jedi Han. So that's about it, guys. Now I just got to edit out me fumbling the camera and post it. Hope that was fun to look at. They sure are fun to play with. Just give you a quick close-up of each one. Work in progress. Done, sort of. I may put the M2 bolt in there. It only kind of bothers me a little bit. As far as I'm concerned, the Luke is done, unless I decide to make a scratch-built scope mount, which I might. Merson Power 5, plenty to do there. It's just a base MGC for now. I will have to change out the grips and paint them black. And then we have my scope for my live fire. This is for the Merson, and this is a Han Solo ESB build for somebody else. It's going to have a resin scope, a really nice resin scope, and I'll update more later. There it is.